Hi, this is Sally's Book Talk, bringing you the best books from around the world every day. Today we're discussing Hillbilly Elegy, a memoir that reads like an autobiography. The author J.D. Vance, a genuine American hillbilly, was only 32 when he wrote this, without any remarkable achievements. Yet, his memoir captured attention from Silicon Valley elites like Bill Gates and Peter Thiel. It stayed in New York Times and Amazon bestseller top 10 for nearly a year. Bill Gates called it a great book that addresses crucial social issues far beyond what Vance originally envisioned. The book explains Trump's rise while revealing America's deep social divide between the poor and mainstream society. Vance grew up in Appalachian poverty, raised in a declining steel town. With a drug-addicted mother and absent father, he became the first in his family to attend Yale Law School, the only Ivy League graduate among his peers. Behind this success story lies the economic decline of America's Midwest and white working-class despair. And after industries moved south, local jobs vanished, even pawn shops closed. More white kids, like Vance, remain trapped in poverty cycles. Families torn apart, children dropping out or dying from drugs. People here no longer believe hard work brings better lives. Some actively reject the American dream. In 2016 election, 67% of poor whites voted Trump versus Hillary's 28%. That 40-point gap decided the presidency. Media analysts say this election let marginalized whites voice long-ignored frustrations. Why did mainstream society abandon these white working-class Americans? And why did they vote for Trump, who never experienced poverty? Like two sides of the same coin, individual and societal forces combined create self-made success stories, yet those same forces make upward mobility increasingly difficult. Let's begin with Vance's own story and listen to this hillbilly elegy. Our first question: how much effort must a poor white person expend to achieve better living conditions? Vance was born in 1984 in Middletown, Ohio, a decaying steel town. If one word could describe Vance's childhood, it would be chaos. His parents divorced when he was just learning to walk. He lived with his mother and half-sister. His mother, a former nurse, married 5 times, with constant infidelity, sometimes changing partners every few months. Hmm. Hmm. These transient father figures briefly provided normalcy but never lasting stability. Vance's mother battled addiction, prescription drugs, alcohol, opioids. After repeated failed relationships, her mental state deteriorated. She lost her job after rollerblading high in an ER. She frequently abused Vance and his sister, once nearly killing him. This occurred when 12-year-old Vance angered his mother. While driving on highways, she threatened to crash the car and kill them both. The incident ended with police intervention and court charges. To avoid foster care, Vance lied in court, but the trauma haunted him forever. 20 years later, he still dreams of fleeing his unstable mother, moving 7 times between ages 9 to 16. Though academically capable, constant moves and family chaos ruined his grades and temperament. At his 4th stepfather's home, he learned to smoke marijuana, becoming a cynical teen who solved problems with fists and blamed others. He resented wearing discount clothes and taking the bus while classmates had family cars. He resented not just his irresponsible parents, but even the grandfather who'd protected him, whose death left him vulnerable. Vance's grandparents. Though also hillbilly folks, they provided crucial care and emotional support. Without them, Vance might have dropped out or become addicted. His grandfather taught him math and manhood, the father figure he never had. When Grandma discovered his marijuana use, she immediately took him in, teaching work ethic and encouraging studies. She always said, "Life's a fight. Don't be like those weaklings who make excuses. You can achieve anything." If grandparents were his safe harbor, the Marine Corps became his launching pad for the American dream. So, after high school, following cousins' advice, Vance joined the Marines. Military service transformed him physically and mentally. Formerly overweight, he couldn't run a single mile, 1.6 kilometers. After 4 years training, he easily ran 3 miles in 19 minutes. The military's discipline admiration forged his willpower and positive mindset. Previously pessimistic, his chaotic childhood made him believe better life was impossible. He confused lack of ability with lack of effort until overcoming impossible challenges. Then he realized he'd underestimated his potential for change. In 2005, deployed to Iraq as media liaison officer. An Iraqi boy profoundly impacted him. When Vance gave him an eraser, the boy's smile revealed pure joy. This made Vance realize his misfortunes paled compared to war-torn children's suffering. When honorably discharged at 23, he clearly knew his life goals and how to achieve them. After military service, he worked through college and graduated summa cum laude with dual degrees from Ohio State University. He then entered Yale Law School, securing an offer from a top-tier law firm before graduation. At Yale, he met his perfect partner. Career, marriage, homeownership followed naturally, realizing his American dream. Yet, those Yale years also revealed how different he and other working-class whites were from mainstream society. Yale Law had almost no students from similar backgrounds. Over 95% of Yale Law students came from middle or upper class, most exceptionally wealthy. In America, middle-class income averages $160,000, unimaginable wealth in his hometown, Middletown. And yet classmates expected first-year salaries matching that, some worrying it's insufficient. The real gap went beyond money. His classmates came from stable, loving families radiating self-assurance in their abilities. No working-class whites he knew possessed such confidence. They habitually felt powerless over life trajectories, believing effort changes nothing. Others succeeded through luck or talent, their failures always others' fault. Psychologists call this learned helplessness. Vance traced this to childhood chaos. Feeling powerless creates vicious cycles. Children from unstable homes more likely perpetuating instability. His mother Bev's childhood wasn't poor. Middletown's steel industry provided comfortable living, but family warfare defined her upbringing. Grandfather's 20-year alcoholism and womanizing with wife's relatives. Grandmother retaliated by abandoning housework, plotting revenge. When grandfather ignored warnings and got drunk again, Grandma poured gasoline over him and calmly threw a lit match onto his chest with cold determination. His 11-year-old aunt rushed to extinguish the flames, saving grandfather's life. All three children from this turbulent family nearly went astray. The eldest uncle became steel worker after dropping out of high school. Young aunt married at 16 into an abusive household after quitting school. Jev was high school valedictorian, but became single mom at 19, never attending college. Grandfather finally quit drinking a year before Vance's birth, reconciling with grandma to help their children. Now, they helped aunt divorce, paid Bev's nursing tuition, babysat, chaos breeding chaos. Vance's family epitomizes white working-class American struggles. Studies show childhood trauma survivors face higher anxiety or depression risks, and even upwardly mobile success stories struggle with emotional poverty. Evident in Vance's marriage tensions, he sees his wife as perfect, yet argues over trifles, fearing becoming his mother. Nothing scarier than becoming your own demon. Why are family conflicts so prevalent among working-class whites? Why are so few poor whites represented in American elites? What perpetuates their learned helplessness and poverty? Two key reasons trap hillbillies in poverty: social segregation and cultural isolation. Social segregation means residential and ethnic group isolation. How does social segregation emerge? We must precisely define Vance's hillbillies. In America, whites include Scottish-Irish descendants like Vance's family. Their ancestors were indentured servants in the South, later becoming sharecroppers, coal miners, and eventually factory workers. Most lacked higher education, called hillbillies, rednecks, or white trash in America. Vance's grandparents came from rural Kentucky. Jacksontown in Appalachian Mountains had coal mining as main industry besides farming. Post-War II, Great Lakes factories recruited Southern workers with families. During holidays, southbound highways filled with Ohio, Indiana, Michigan cars carrying gifts and homebound migrants. Dance's grandparents migrated to Middletown, Ohio, once thriving steel city. Grandfather worked at Armco Steel during 1940s to 60s industrial peak. Like millions, they transitioned from poor farmers to blue-collar homeowners. 1970s oil crisis and deindustrialization shifted manufacturing south or overseas, devastating Midwest economies. Rust Belt emerged as factories closed. Educated workforce migrated south. Those remaining were often unskilled elderly, trapped by depreciating property values. Relocation became economically impossible for poorest residents. By 1980s, Middletown's downtown became ruins with closed businesses. Abandoned stores with shattered windows littered the streets. Main Street, once home to the wealthy, became drug dealers' nighttime territory. Poverty spread from downtown to suburbs, trapping more white workers in poor neighborhoods. In 1970, 25% white children lived in greater than 10% poverty areas. By 2000, it reached 40%, still rising. 20% public high school freshmen drop out. Few get degrees. Most stay in state for cheaper tuition. Appalachian conditions worsened further. Jackson's 33% poverty rate includes half its children. 2015 saw dozens die from heroin overdoses. Local high schools haven't sent kids to college in years. Economist Raj Chetty found geographic disparities in poor kids' upward mobility chances. Appalachian Rust Belt kids face hardest climb breaking class barriers. Two key factors: high single-parent households and income-based residential segregation. The residential segregation hides success models, crushing hope of improvement through effort. The poor cluster together. Uniform lives of poverty, violence, drugs, and toxic relationships breed defeatist mentality. They develop belief that people like us never succeed, fueling learned helplessness. Segregation blocks essential networks for escaping poverty. Vance realized at Yale Law, connections sometimes outweigh hard work or luck. Social capital and support systems prove crucial for success. After botching interview questions, a recommender's call salvaged his opportunity. Vance ultimately secured the position. Churches could theoretically bridge social divides for working-class whites. Religious congregations transcend neighborhoods through shared faith. Churches unite different classes or races, providing crucial support networks. For alcoholics, church communities combat isolation. They offer single mothers housing, job training, parenting classes. Trumbregans provide job referrals. Even bought Vance's father a used car during hardship. Yet, few hometown Protestants regularly attended church, rejecting clerical mediation for salvation. Vance's family viewed religion as private, distrusting, organized churches. Economic shifts trapped Rust Belt whites in poor neighborhoods through social segregation. Children lack role models and social capital for upward mobility. Vance argues poverty discussions overemphasize external socioeconomic factors. Hillbillies should examine cultural attitudes perpetuating their plight. This cultural introspection forms the book's core argument. The cultural isolation breeds victim mentality and responsibility avoidance. Appalachian honor culture prioritizes family loyalty over rational conflict resolution. Scottish-Irish descendants fiercely protect familial honor through violence if needed. Urban migration clashes with hillbilly customs requiring rule-based cooperation. Vance's grandmother nearly shot a cattle thief at age 12, not with fists but a gun. In cities, middle-class selling circles made her feel alienated. She withdrew instead of joining. When offended, they resorted to violence rather than social etiquette. At Christmas shopping, clerks feared uncle damaging toys. Grandfather smashed one in retaliation. Grandmother threw merchandise yelling, "Beat 'em," embodying Appalachian conflict resolution. As Grandma said, take the boy from Kentucky, but not Kentucky from the boy. Cultural persistence. Honor-obsessed groups should demonstrate responsibility. Yet reality differed. Facing cognitive dissonance, they denied problems or fabricated lies. Grandfather drank, grandmother hoarded trash, and isolated herself during family crises. Neighborhood children called grandmother witch, ever present, cigarette and pistol in hand. And addiction rationalization, mother blamed drug use on bill stress and grandfather's death, shifting excuses. Economist report claims white workers labor longer. Vance disputes methodology is biased. 30% Middletown youth work less than 20 hours per week, yet tout hard work rhetoric. Lifelong welfare dependent neighbor constantly boasts about work ethic. He claimed too many exploit the system, leaving hard workers proud help. He saw most beneficiaries as frauds, himself the exception. Honor obsession and self-deception breed distorted self-assessment, ignoring flaws. This creates another consequence. They default to powerlessness pattern. Others succeed via luck, their failures, others' fault. The learned helplessness discussed earlier. Mens shares coworker Bob's story from pre-Yale summer. Working forklift at $13 per hour, tile company, $16 during shortages. $32,000 annual salary, exceeded poverty line with good health care. A 19-year-old Bob got pregnant girlfriend a receptionist job, both fired for slacking. Bob, chronically late, with 30-plus minute bathroom breaks. Girlfriend skipped shifts unannounced. When fired? How dare you? My girlfriend's pregnant. Vance notes physical jobs go unfilled despite good pay, not just youth aversion. Acquaintance quit over early hours yet blamed Obama's policies on Facebook. Cultural barriers confront upwardly mobile hillbillies. At Yale Law, Vance found alien social codes, unaware of interview suits, networking over resumes, 9-glass place settings. He felt like a fool, clueless about which fork to use for each course, couldn't distinguish sparkling water from tonic, never ordered Chardonnay. The banquet hall felt designed to mock the poor. Vance survived by secretly calling his middle-class girlfriend for etiquette rescues. Growing social cultural divides and learned helplessness trap poor whites in despair. They've lost faith in self-determination. No agency or fighting spirit remains. They've long surrendered their futures. Pew Research shows white workers are America's most pessimistic group. Only 44% expect better for their children. Lower than poor Black or Latino communities facing worse economic prospects. This explains their Obama hatred. He symbolized an impossible dream they attribute to luck, not effort. They prefer conspiracy theories over media truth. Hillbilly Elegy. The book ends with Vance becoming judicial clerk post-Yale. Trump isn't mentioned, yet the book explains his appeal to elites. Vance tells media Trump voters reject political elites, and media channeling their despair. Trump promised jobs while mirroring their cynical anger. This hillbilly elegy. Vance argues hillbillies deserve empathy, not pity. They must ask, how much stems from circumstance versus personal choices? Vance's courageous self-analysis produced this remarkable work. His critique of Appalachian helplessness drew fire from Kentuckians and Ohio's sharing similar struggles. They acknowledge despair but argue survival consumes energy for future planning. Most aren't lazy, they work hard but remain underpaid. As Barbara Ehrenreich revealed in Nickel and Dimed, multiple jobs still can't cover basics. Personal grit matters, but systemic support remains crucial. Vance internalized these critiques constructively. Hillbilly Elegy published. In 2017, he founded Our Ohio Renewal, tackling opioid crisis and creating skilled jobs. As venture partner at Revolution, he now invests in underserved regions beyond coastal hubs. Addressing Matthew effect, concentrating resources where most needed. This concludes our Hillbilly Elegy analysis. Find keynotes below. See you tomorrow.